What is up, Bertini fam? Now in today's video, I'm going to be installing a rear sway bar, which by the way, for those of you who don't know, my truck does not come from the factory with a sway bar on it. And I'm also going to be installing a beefier front sway bar. Now there are a few extra pieces that I did have to buy from the factory, and that is because my truck did not come with them on it. And that is going to be the factory sway bar end links. The previous owner of the truck removed the front sway bar for drag racing purposes and didn't put it back on there, but that's okay because we wanted to get a beefier set and also show people that you can still have a low 9-second truck, full weight with sway bars on it, no issue whatsoever, basically zero problem. And you'll get some more street performance out of it as well. Now, the sway bar kit that I decided to go with is from Hellwig Suspension products. Hellwig makes, they're like the king or queen, whatever you want to call it, of performance sway bars. So these are super beefy, super high quality, super heavyweight, very, very, very durable products. And they include everything you need in the kit, which by the way, I'm gonna include links in the description box below where you can purchase this kit from if you're interested in picking up a sway bar kit for your truck, or of course any vehicle that you have. Hellwig makes a ton of suspension products for your vehicle, so go ahead and check out their website. Like I said, I'll include links in the description box below. Now do me a big favor, if you have not yet clicked that subscribe button, go ahead and click that subscribe button right now. Join the Bertini family. I put out weekly videos and you're gonna see all the crazy cool badass stuff I do to all of my vehicles. With that being said, go ahead and roll the intro. All right, now that I got all the formalities out of the way, one thing really quickly, there is a ton of videos on YouTube showing you how to install Hellwig front and rear sway bars on a Ford F-150, and you can find it on a lot of vehicles. Like I said, Hellwig is a leading manufacturer when it comes to suspension, so look them up and check them out. I promise you, it is nothing but amazing reviews on them. They absolutely kill the game. With that being said, I'm not gonna do a step-by-step process on how to install this on your truck because I feel like that's gonna be a wasted video. What I am gonna do though is I'm going to get it on the vehicle and then we're gonna go ahead and take it out for a test drive and see my initial impressions of it and see if it actually makes a difference, especially when you're doing full send of this vehicle. So I'm gonna do some 40 and 60 mile per hour pulls. I'm gonna also hit some corners and see if it actually makes a difference installing the sway bars on a drag racing truck. We're gonna actually start off with the front sway bar. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the links, get the sway bar on the vehicle, make any final adjustments there, and then we'll move on to the rear.
That's what she said.
Now, since my truck is lowered, something I did for myself is I turned the wheel, so I'm starting off with the driver's side, I turned the wheel a little bit canted. This way it's easier for me to get in there and put in this end sway bar link, or sway bar end link. And by the way, this is gonna have to be torqued down, I believe, to 35 foot-pounds. For those of you guys who are starting off from scratch like me, or you're interested in putting a brand new set of these like I am today.
A few moments later.
All right, the front sway bar is installed. It took me, I wanna say about 30 minutes or so to install this, but it is just me by myself who's doing this. And so that's why it took me about 30 minutes. I'm assuming if you had help and you had a lift, obviously, and two, by the way, I'm not doing this with any lift. This is literally on my driveway. If I would have a lift, I would say I could probably get this done within 10 minutes max, maybe 15 actually. We'll go ahead and see how this feels. We're gonna take it out for a ride and see what kind of difference it makes. Actually, I just remembered, we still gotta do the rear. All right, let's go ahead and move back to the rear and get the rear done, and then let's go ahead and get this thing out on the road and see how it actually feels. Okay, so we've run into a little bit of a problem, and as you can see here, everything is packed up for the rear sway bar. Now there's a reason why I packed up everything for the rear sway bar. Let me show you what the reason is and why the rear sway bar from Hellwig will not work on my Ford F-150. Now, chances of this being an issue for most of you is like slim to none, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you why on my F-150 it doesn't work. So as you can see here, I have a full drag racing setup in terms of my suspension. It's a full drag racing suspension. and so my shocks have been relocated to the center of the axle. And unfortunately, since everything is welded into place, there's nothing I can do in order to change this. So I will not be installing the rear sway bar on my F-150. So I am kind of bummed out about this because I really wanted to have a rear sway bar on my setup, and the only way I'd be able to do this is by doing some custom fabrication, cutting metal and doing stuff like that, and that's not something I really want to do. The whole rear end of this car was built for drag racing, and so the only person that I would feel confident in touching this vehicle, unfortunately, does not live in the state of Florida, and so therefore we're not going to be adding on the rear sway bar. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump in the truck, see how the truck handles now that we have the front sway bar in from Hellwig, and I am going to do some pulls. I want to see if it changes up anything. Probably only do one or two, only because this truck really does scare the living crap out of me, and so I typically get in one pull and then I'm shaking and I'm like, I don't know about doing another pull. But we'll go ahead and jump in the truck now, test it out, and see if it does make a difference with a really high horsepower truck like mine. Okay, so my immediate reaction, just getting in it, is it definitely feels like it's not swaying side to side, which sounds odd, but it feels a lot more stable, at least at the steering wheel, which I guess kind of makes sense because of the sway bar. I'm taking a turn right now. How much am I doing? All right, I'm doing 58 miles an hour, and yeah, super stable. Let me up it a little bit here. Okay, 63, 64. Super stable around turns. That is for sure. You definitely notice you don't have this weird like swaying that you'd have before having the Hellwig sway bar. One thing that I'm noticing that I can do now that I definitely could not do before was I don't have to be holding on to the steering wheel. Before, I'd have to be making like micro adjustments, if you will, in order to keep the truck stable. And so that's a pretty nice feature. Yeah, it just feels a lot more planted, a lot more stable now that I've installed the Hellwig sway bar. It feels a lot more like planted. It's kind of difficult to explain, but definitely a nice feature, especially given that this is only, a couple $100 to have a much more stable vehicle, especially in my case. What I am interested to know though is when I push it, how much more stable is it actually? Now let me go ahead and turn off everything really quickly, and by everything I mean all my traction controls and all that other good stuff. This way I can get a nice pull. Man, every single time I push this truck or get ready to push this truck, I start freaking out. It's almost like I start not hyperventilating, but I do start freaking out a little bit, just because now I know what to expect. And it's kind of like, if you're on a roller coaster, or that feeling before you jump out of a solo dive out of an airplane, or for those of you who don't solo dive, like, dive tandem out of an airplane. It's a certain feeling, like right before you do, there is that adrenaline rush feeling. And so, because you're expecting what's to come. And I guess now, because I'm so used to what actually happens, well, I'm not used to what actually happens. You never get used to the feeling, but I'm aware of what's about to happen. And yeah, it's never the greatest feeling. It really does scare the living shit out of you.
But did you die?
All right, enough talking. Let me go ahead and do this. Holy shit. Oh boy. Yep. Never get used to that feeling. That's God. I think we just went 120 something miles an hour. I think I saw 124 or 123. Holy crap. Look, I'm shaking. Every single time. Every single time. Man. It's a nerve-wracking feeling. Now, I will say this. Huge shout out to Hellwig's engineering team on creating a solid front sway bar. I'm sure the rear would be even better. Unfortunately, I'm not able to install it, but that made such a huge difference, adding the front sway bar to the front of my truck. Like, I can't begin to explain it felt a lot less wobbly. Before, it would actually like sway from side to side, and it felt a lot more stable and planted. Don't get me wrong, it's never gonna get, at least for me, I'm never gonna get to a point where like I'm super used to that feeling. It's still scary as shit, but at least I felt stable and planted. It felt more like a rocket. Before, I would be like going all over the place. And so at least I felt a lot more stable in a straight direction, if that makes any sense. I bet this bus driver behind me is probably like, they can't even fathom how the heck this truck goes that fast. Oh man, yeah, that was a lot to handle. Y'all, I'm sure you want me to push it again. I can't do that to myself a second time. Like I said, typically when I push this truck, it really is only one, maximum 2 times, and 2 times it has to be like a not good pull the first time. Typically when I get like a really solid pull, I try not to push it again, just because it's nerve-wracking. Like, I'm still shaking. This is it's a lot for me. And so I'm sorry I couldn't get more out of this for you all. But anyways, if you're interested in picking up a set of Hellwig sway bars, go ahead and check out the links in the description box below. If for whatever reason you decide to give them a call, let them know that Michael Bertini from YouTube sent you, and they'll go ahead and take care of you. Stay tuned in for the rest of my Ford F-150 build series. Make sure, if you have not yet, click that subscribe button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button right now. This way you can stay up to date on all the videos that I'm putting out there. With that being said, make sure you're putting good energy out there into the world, and you're paying it forward. I'll check y'all out later. Bye now.